Hi, we're Supply and Demand. Today we're going to replace parts on a GE range model JGB280DEN1BB. We'll be replacing the range oven igniter, the small, medium, and large burner caps, small, medium, and large surface burners, the spark electrode and electrode clip, the control knobs, the door handle and door gasket, and the temperature sensor. You'll need a 1/4-inch driver, a T15 Torx, and a flathead screwdriver for these repairs. First, start by opening the door and removing the oven racks. Next, remove the screws securing the bottom panel to the inside of the oven and remove the panel. Unscrew the oven igniter from the mounting plate. Pull out the bottom drawer and set it aside. Then, reach underneath and unplug the igniter from the wiring harness. From inside of the oven, carefully pull the igniter through the hole. Replace with a supply and demand igniter. Feed the plug through the hole in the back of the oven. Plug the igniter into the wiring harness underneath. Push the bottom drawer back in. Secure the igniter to the mounting plate. Put the bottom panel back into place and secure with the screws that were removed earlier. Replace the oven racks and you're good to go. Replacing the surface burners and caps is incredibly easy, probably the easiest repair you'll do today. Replacing them is just as simple, and if you'd like to see that process, skip ahead to the marked location on the timeline. If you need to replace the spark electrode and clip, you'll need to have these removed to do so. If you're only changing out the spark electrode, all you have to do is carefully pry it up from the stovetop with a flathead screwdriver. A wire should come up with it. Disconnect the spark electrode from this wire and set it aside. Place it with a supply and demand spark electrode by simply connecting it to the wire and sliding it back into place on the stovetop. If you need to replace the spark electrode clip, you will have to unscrew all 12 screws from the stovetop. There are 3 for each burner, so keep track of these to replace later. We're using the T15 Torx for this. Once finished, remove the spark electrodes like so and disconnect the wires. Then, using your flathead screwdriver, press the locking clips underneath the stovetop to release and lift up. Using the same tool, carefully pry the clips from the burner to remove them, and then replace with a brand new supply and demand clip. These are easy to replace as all you have to do is pop them into place. Now, put the spark electrodes back into the stovetop. Slowly lower the stovetop to align the spark electrode with the clip. Once aligned, reconnect the wire to the spark electrode. Fully close the stovetop and begin replacing the screws. Make sure the burners are aligned to the screw holes. You may have to move the burner around to do so. Now we can replace the burner heads and caps with new supply and demand ones. When I said that replacing the burner heads and caps would probably be the easiest repair that you'd do today, I think I spoke too soon. Replacing the control knobs is as easy as pulling the old knob off of the shaft and sliding the new supply and demand knob back on. Make sure to line up the D shape of the knob with the D shape of the shaft. First, start by opening the door and removing the oven racks. Unscrew the temperature sensor from the back panel of the oven. Then, on the back of the range, remove the rectangular cover. Unplug the wiring harness like so. Then, back inside of the oven, remove the temperature sensor. Be careful that the connector doesn't get caught on the way out. Replace with a new supply and demand temperature sensor. Feed the connector through the hole. Pull through on the back of the range and plug it into the wiring harness. Replace the rectangular cover. Then screw the new temperature sensor back into place. To get started, completely remove the door by opening it slightly and lifting up. You will want to remove the door for this, otherwise this could happen to you.
Well, we almost broke it. That that is how you take the oven glass door off.
Set the door on a solid surface. We're using a table, but you could use the floor if you wanted to. Using your T15 Torx tool, unscrew the 2 handle screws. Then, carefully unscrew the bottom bracket and remove. Carefully lift the back of the door panel and set it aside. Unscrew the 2 remaining handle screws. Remove the old handle and replace with the supply and demand handle. Make sure to line the handle up with the holes on the front of the door. Once lined up, replace the inner handle screws. Now, to replace the gasket, we're going to remove the silver inner panel from the other side of the door. Once it's been removed and set aside, carefully remove the insulation. This can be very delicate, so try not to tear it during this process. Now we'll unscrew the final inner panel from the inner door glass to expose the gasket. Replacing this will take some patience, as you'll need to line it up and secure the inner panel to check for gaps. If there are gaps, you'll need to remove the inner panel again and realign the gasket. Make sure that you're situating the gasket in the curved lip of the glass door panel and you should be alright. Once the gasket is in place, secure the inner panel to the door glass panel. Replace the insulation carefully, then screw the silver panel back into place. There's a lot of panels. Line the door panels back up and place the long handle screws into the slots. Place the spacers and slowly lower the door panel to line the screws up with the slots. Tighten with your T15 Torx tool. Now, replace the bottom bracket and screw it in. This is how the gasket should look on the inner panel of the door with no gaps. Now that we're finished, slide the door back onto the hinges of the range.